Organ transplant, increased risk donor. There are risks to having an organ transplant. Every effort is made to lower these risks. Health Canada has rules for assessing and testing donor organs that may have a higher risk of spreading certain infections. These donor organs may be accepted for transplant under what are called increased risk donor organs. An increased risk donor is a donor who may have a higher chance of infections, including HIV, hepatitis C virus, and hepatitis B virus. These donors have additional special tests completed to check for these infections. Even when these results are negative, there is a chance that the donor could have picked up one of these infections in the 7 days before testing, as it may be too early to show up in the results. For the person receiving the transplant, there may be some risk to getting an infection from an increased risk donor organ, but overall, the risk is low. You have a higher risk of dying in a car accident than getting an infection from an increased risk donor. When increased risk donor organs are accepted, transplant doctors consider everything very carefully. They have decided that there are more benefits to using the organs than there are risks. Otherwise, the organs would not be offered to you. When you're offered a donor organ, you will be told if your donor is an increased risk donor. You decide if you want to move forward with a transplant. If you decide not to accept the organ, you will not lose your place on the wait list, but you will have to wait longer for another organ, which raises your chances of getting sicker or dying while waiting for a transplant. If you do accept an increased risk donor organ, your transplant team will watch you closely to make sure that you're safe. You'll have blood tests at 1 month, 3 months, and 12 months after your transplant to watch for any infections. In the rare case that an infection happens, treatments are available, and you would be treated by a team of specialists. It's best to think about your decision before you're offered the organ and not wait until you get the offer. Speak to your transplant team if you have any questions or concerns about the risks of accepting an increased risk donor organ. And remember, your transplant team is here to support you through your transplant journey.